and welcome back to Mommy Hates Cooking. Today we're going to make this easy Ninja Foodi mac and cheese or macaroni and cheese. You can easily make this gluten-free by using gluten-free pasta. It's very simple to make, and this one is made in the multi-cooker, which means you need to do it with a pressure cooker function. You can also make this exact recipe in the Instant Pot as well using the same method. So the first thing you will need are 16 ounces of uncooked rotini pasta. If you're doing gluten-free, get a gluten-free variety. A lot of times gluten-free pasta only comes in 12 ounces. That will work just fine with this. You will need 4 cups of chicken broth, a half a teaspoon of salt, pepper, and smoked paprika, along with 1 cup of half and half, and then you're going to need a total of 2.5 cups of freshly shredded cheese. This is best with blocks of cheese. I usually will use 1.5 cups of freshly shredded mozzarella and then 1 cup of freshly shredded mild cheddar. So that's what you're going to need for this recipe. The first thing we're going to do is go ahead and pour the pasta into the pot of the Ninja Foodi multi-cooker, and then you're going to add in the chicken broth, and you're just going to submerge this pasta under the broth so that it's fully under there. And you do want to look at your box to get the correct cook time. You want to cook this for half of the time listed on the box. So it's usually going to say either 6 minutes or 8 minutes. So you would want to cook this for either 3 or 4 minutes, depending on what time is listed on the box that you are using. So this particular one I'm using is a gluten-free pasta from Target, and it was 8 minutes, so I ended up cooking it for 4 in the Ninja Foodi. So the next step here is to secure the pressure cooker lid. So you want to make sure it's secured, that it is on seal, and you're going to cook this on high pressure for either 3 to 4 minutes, depending on the time listed on your box. So remember, the rule of thumb is cook it for half of the time listed on the box. Now, as soon as this is done, you want to quick release, which means you move that nozzle over to vent and release the steam immediately. With pasta, it needs to be a quick release. Otherwise, you might end up with very overcooked mushy pasta, and nobody wants that. So after 4 minutes, this is what mine looks like here. I've quickly released it, and then I'm going to go ahead and add in the salt, pepper, and paprika and just stir it all up. You would also want to go ahead and turn the Foodi to off. It's going to naturally kick it over to warm, but it is best to go ahead and turn it off at this point because it's already going to be really nice and warm anyways. And that way it doesn't overheat anything. So I'm getting my paprika on here, and you can use regular paprika too if you need to. So you've got all of that in here, and now I'm going to go ahead and pour in the cream, which I'm using half and half. So I'm going to use a cup of half and half, and then I'm going to add in my cheese. Now on the cheese, you want to use the blocks of cheese and then shred them or grate them yourselves at home. So with the pre-shredded cheese, it's got an ingredient in there to make sure that it doesn't stick together in the bag, but that also makes it very hard to get it to melt right. And we really want this to melt right for mac and cheese. So that is why you want to use the blocks of cheese and then just grate it at home yourself. So I have got 1.5 cups here of mozzarella and a cup of mild cheddar. Now you can use any cheese. You don't have to use mozzarella and mild cheddar. You could do sharp cheddar if you want, but you are going to get a different flavor profile with depending on which cheese that you use. So I'm just stirring this up, and this is what's going to take a few minutes because you want to get this nice and mixed where it's no longer stringy. So it takes a minute or two to get it really nice and stirred up there. Now, once you get this done, you're done with your mac and cheese. So this is a super easy side dish that you could do for dinner, even Thanksgiving dinner coming up if you wanted to serve mac and cheese. I know this is one we always serve because it's great for the kids. And that is how you make it. Very easy. Now, another little tip here it is all ready to go, is if you're using the multi-cooker, you could add a little bit of breadcrumbs on top and do the air fryer function for just a minute or two and get it a nice little crunchy, more like a casserole. That works well too. So you can find this entire recipe over on mommyhatescooking.com for Ninja Foodi mac and cheese. I hope you enjoyed this recipe, and be sure to stay tuned for the next one. Thanks so much for joining in today.